Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here. And today's show I think it's highly anticipated. It's been asked for repeatedly. And I brought on a special guest to help me with this. Welcome to the show, JoAnna Ross. Here we go. You ready?
I am. Thank you for having me again.
So JoAnna is awesome. And you guys are going to hear that on the show today. She heads up our acquisitions department at Lineage and RP Capital. And we've gotten a lot of requests, JoAnna, like how does this happen? Like, how do you guys choose your areas? How do you choose the properties? How do you choose the sellers? How do you choose the property management companies? Like, how do you get the deals you guys are getting? Like, how does all of this secret sauce work? And I thought to myself, who better to talk about the secret sauce than the person who stirs it all day long, every day, the purveyor of the secret sauce, we might say, Miss JoAnna. So
I think I want to change my title now.
Yeah, right. That is a pretty good title. Now, I just came with that on the fly, but that's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Okay, so where should we start, JoAnna? Because we really do. I mean, if like internally, we talk about this all the time. We really do have the best inventory, the best returns of all of our competition. Because look, we're looking, we're watching.
Yes.
So where should we start? Like, how does the process start for you? Maybe we should just start there.
Yes, of course. Well, the process, to be honest, it starts in a lot of different ways. The great thing about my role, I get inventory from all kinds of sources. Those that I'm seeking, others who have worked with us and are impressed by our work, and so they're referring their friends. And then, of course, we have a lot of our partners, our PM partners that work with us. They love what we do. They love that they're getting to grow their business, and they also kind of send us some referrals for builders that they are impressed with in their area. So it kind of starts, where's the inventory and who has it?
I've gotten this question for 20 years. How do you choose your areas? And I'm almost always, I say, the area kind of chooses us usually. And then we kind of vet the area, make sure the area is good. And then we make sure that the area of the properties is good. And then, but you're right. It's usually, we've been doing this so long now that usually it's somebody who's reaching out to us.
Mm-hmm. It is. And so with that, and to be fair, everyone that reaches out does not move forward because we do have at least what is our kind of home model. I know there's a lot of companies that do turnkey business. And so I will say we're not all the same. I like to say that our standards, we really do look out for everyone involved, especially investors. One of our biggest things is we try to minimize the amount of expenses that an investor will have during the first few years of owning their property that they've gotten through it. So with that, we do require a little bit more, like when there's a renovation, we ask for the systems to be at least 50% of their life remaining before you turn it over to our group. Things like if you're doing a rehab, renovate the kitchen, renovate the bathrooms, make sure there's fresh paint throughout. Sometimes rehabs can have a lot of different understandings and meanings, but we set out what that standard means to us. So no matter what seller we're working with, our investors can expect the same type of product and feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've kind of systematized it over the years. And JoAnna, when she joined the team, we kind of had, like, in our minds, we had some systems we've been working with for a long, long time. But, a lot of the sellers had different ways they did things. And one of the things JoAnna did when she came in is she just like, no, we don't do it that way anymore. Like, this is how we do it. It was awesome. So now, literally, for the last quite a while here, all of our sellers, rehabbers, new construction, doesn't matter. They all know what we expect. It's written down. They know what the scope is they've got to do. And it makes it so much nicer when you look, for you out there, if you're looking at our site, and for all of our clients, they can look at the site and they know, oh, okay, well, this house that's rehabbed and it was built in 1990, I know it's got all of these things have been replaced. All of this has been done. Like, I know all of this stuff at least has been done on this property. I don't have to worry about it. Because like I know we talk about these things when we bring on new sellers. And it's funny because JoAnna will be like, yeah, and I see some of the messages that go through, and she's like, yeah, no, it's almost like, no, you can't just put lipstick on that. Like, that's not a turnkey property. You have to actually replace this 15-year-old furnace. It's working.
Yeah.
But it's working, JoAnna.
I'm like, well, but how long?
Yeah,
and luck would have it, we close that deal, and then day one after on the property, the furnace goes out. Like, we just don't like to take those chances. So yes, I do have that conversation with a lot of sellers, and they've like, we work with them. It's good. It's good. Well, is it RPC? Is it Lineage good? And that's what we want. So having that standard makes the process easier, and we can move inventory quickly when we know what to expect. So
it translates to everybody in the company, right? And one of the things that we hang our hats on, that we're very proud of, is, I'm proud of a lot of stuff with the company. We have an amazing team.
yeah.
But one of the things I'm most proud of is how many people, when they buy one property, go on and buy multiple properties
Yes.
over time. We have clients who've been with us for nearly 20 years that are still transacting with us. It's really amazing. All of that starts with your position. So let's go through. So that's how we find. Now, I think the other thing that you do, you said there's a few ways that we get there. One way is people reach out to us, but another way is because of Lineage and the technology that we've built.
Yes.
We're onboarding property management companies in certain markets, and then your job is a little bit different, right? It's a little bit unique. So walk us through that. We
Yeah. So with that, yes, I love Lineage. It's been so great for our group. And then the markets we're able to actually expand in. So as we're onboarding these preferred PMs that want to partner with us, love what we're doing, trust their investors with us. The other part I do is help find inventory in areas that they've already invested in, which a lot of times is in their own backyard. We know that most of our investors are investing in places they never seen, never touched, and that's why there's so much trust and transparency with our group. So when it comes to these PM partners, I'm like, okay, so we have a new PM that's ready to work with us in Michigan. Okay, now I'm going to go out and hunt. And so my hunt starts from a lot of research. First, PM itself is a great resource because they are boots on the ground, and they'll tell me right out the bat, like, hey, you want to avoid these areas. I'm like, thank you. I don't have my time on that, right? Because if you don't want to manage it, we don't want to have our investors own it, And then from there, I'm looking at like what is happening in that city, like revitalization efforts from the city, what's happening, what's coming down the pipeline, where's the growth? A lot of times there's like a development building and you don't see anything else. So I have to search for, different land maps and see what's coming. And if I see something like, oh, there's a Walmart or a Target or a shopping center that is going to be area, when I'm getting this inventory, I'm like, okay, then this is going to bring in tenants. This is going to bring in employment opportunities. So we don't just look for numbers with that property. That whole area has to make sense for tenants, for employment, for, things like that. And then commuting. It could be great. And if it's far out and people can't get there easily, then it may not work for us because we can kind of see an issue with vacancies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, as we're looking at these, specifically, we looked at 3 new areas just over the last couple of weeks, which is amazing. We have a brand new area in Texas, which is going crazy. Everybody wants to invest in Texas. Same thing in North Carolina, where we get some really good properties in North Carolina. And I think, when you look at the Charlotte market itself, when we first started selling in Charlotte, and then we had a pause, but when we first started selling, it was many, many years ago. And Charlotte was right outside of the metro was kind of the growth circle. Now, I mean, Charlotte has grown so big, man. To be in the growth pattern, you're 30 minutes outside of Charlotte, but that area is growing like crazy. I mean, it's just growing like mad. And to find properties out there that cash flow pretty well, brand new construction.
It's been impressive. And honestly, to just kind of reopen that market, like you said, you guys were there from years ago, but we kind of reopened that. And as soon as we even looked at it, we got some beautiful single families out there, cash flowing. And then we had a PM group out there that got them all leased up already. So we
So
have
fast.
properties leased, cash flowing, ready to go. And that's just so impressive because so sometimes you kind of go back into a market, you're not sure how it's going to pan out. But no, like you mentioned, Charlotte and its suburb areas is just growing and there's lots of building, there's
Yeah.
lots of employment. So it's just amazing. And they're very attractive.
Yeah. So we onboard the property management companies. Let's talk a little bit about the vetting of management companies. I think that's one of the things that people, I mean, people struggle with that just
Yeah.
in general. Anybody out there who's listening, like, if you've had to go try to get a property management company on your own and you're not really well versed in that business,
Yes.
every single property manager knows what to say. I mean, they all know what to say. You have to have second and third degree BS meters highly tuned to be able to sniff out who actually knows what they're doing. So let's walk through that a little bit, JoAnna. Like when you're trying to onboard a new property management company, what are you looking for?
Well, honestly, since last time we actually got together, we've got this Lineage platform, out here. And so honestly, I now do a little bit of both with the manual that I usually do. I'm searching different, off sites, not the main ones, because sometimes Google reviews may show just the people that are, submitting there, but these social media reviews, these private, like Reddit, I mean, there's so many different, like more transparent sites that give a full picture truly of, how a company is performing. So I look in different ways. And if I see it all matches up, like, hey, they might be good, but with Lineage coming in here, now we have like actual numbers to back up what PMs are telling us, by able to see what are their vacancy ratings truly. How long is it taking them to turn properties? It's not something that the PMs are just telling us now. We're actually able to see that on our Lineage platform that backs it up.
I mean, we could turn this podcast into a podcast only about the Lineage technology and what it is doing for both the investors and the property managers. But to your point specifically, we're pulling in data from the management company that shows us all of the really high level important statistics from a property management company to tell whether or not they know what they're doing. And if they're doing it at a high level, like what's their vacancy rate? How much is their tenant turn cost? How much is their maintenance versus, their income? The other cool thing is we've provided a dashboard to the property management companies. So they know those numbers because crazy enough, everybody out there listening, if you run a business, data is your friend, right? Well, most of the property management companies, this data lives inside their software. And for whatever reason, it doesn't show. There's no dashboard for it, which is mind numbing. I can't even believe that all the information is sitting inside of there and it's not being pulled out and displayed in a way that they can access it. So we're doing that for them. And by so doing, we actually know the numbers. It's like cheating. It's almost like cheating, JoAnna.
Well, anything to make sure we get great people for our investors. And I love it. If that's a cheat code, I'm going to press it every time because honestly, the cost of bad management is just so high. We're just not willing to risk that. If we have an investor that had a horrible experience with one of the PM partners, that, like you mentioned, they are repeat buyers. That can close them off from wanting to continue to grow their portfolios. And yeah, it might be a business thing for us, but more than anything, why we love what we're doing is that we're truly helping people build their wealth. So when they have a bad experience, that causes them to pause on their wealth planning and growth. And at the end of the day, no one wants that. So
that's potentially a generational loss.
Yeah.
And so we try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And JoAnna is the tip of the spear when it comes to making all this stuff happen. Okay, so inventory these days, JoAnna, like, I mean, if you listen to the news, now I've had, I don't know how many podcasts I've done on the media. I hate the media. I'm an equal opportunity hater of the media too, because they kind of all suck. If you actually listen to the media, I'm going to go on a rant just for a second, JoAnna. You can join me if you like. But if you listen to them, you would think that everybody hates everybody, that the world is ending, the economy in America sucks so bad that everybody's broke, except for 5 billionaires that run and control everything in the country, and there's no way that you can increase your wealth, grow wealth, especially in today's economy. And don't get any of them started on the tariffs, because if you get them started on the tariffs, then all hell's going to break loose, and nobody's going to make any money ever for the rest of our lives. And that's the media, right? Oh, and by the way, somebody got shot and killed. Probably multiple people got shot and killed this week. So there you have. You don't even have to listen to the media anymore this week. You don't have to listen to the news. I just gave you the update. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. So I had to do that.
Fine.
So is that what you see when you look at properties? Because I don't think that's what I see.
Honestly, no. I think when it comes to my particular role, the thing that we look at the most that has something to do with the bigger picture, is interest rates. That's probably the one thing that does kind of tie in more directly to what's happening. But as we see, there's still a lot of regulations with that where they can't just, drop significantly or increase significantly. There's always going to be all the movement we're seeing is like half a point this week, quarter point that week. So that's probably the one thing. But I will say to that rant, one thing that I think people would realize is that when we look at these billionaires as running things, how are they billionaires? It's mostly through real estate. They have so much of their wealth in real estate. So I'm kind of like, even with all the craziness that they're doing, one thing that I feel will always be protected is this industry in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And it's businesses and real estate. That's where, as far as alternative asset class, so outside of the stock market and all the things that if you watch the media, they tell you to buy, outside of that, real estate is the number one alternative asset class. And one of the other things that I think gets misreported a lot is that 96% of the properties, of like the single family home properties that are rental properties, they're owned by people just like you out there listening. They're not owned by the hedge fund. The hedge funds have bought a lot of property. They still are not even close to being the largest owner of rental properties, of single family, like small, not big, huge commercial real estate like apartment buildings, but of regular, where everybody really wants to live properties.
And
they're not.
And Ron, to that point, even when I'm working with some different sellers and trying to get more inventory, when they hear that we're on behalf of investors, some of them are like, "Oh, no, we don't want investors," because they think of this investment group coming and buying the whole the whole neighborhood and changing it into something different.
Yep.
When I explain to them, "Oh, we're not buying the properties. We're just getting access to that inventory, so our individual investors can go ahead and purchase it." So I say, this neighborhood, we may take 25% of it, but it's by all individual owners. It's not us, big bad investment group that's taking over and changing the way that, properties work. So yeah.
And all professionally managed, right? So you can't drive through one of these communities of single family homes and tell which ones are rentals and which ones are homeowners. They're all maintained really, really well. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when you drive through the communities, typically if you see a yard that's overgrown, it's a homeowner. It's not one. It's not one of our people.
Someone is not getting checked.
Yeah, it's a homeowner. Almost every single time, it's a homeowner. So I think that there's a misconception right now that real estate is a horrible investment, and that it's way too expensive. It can't cash flow. All of these big misconceptions. We are getting brand new construction properties in, how many markets are we in right now, JoAnna?
Yes, I didn't even count those, but I know we're probably in almost every,
It
state
it
west
it,
from
it
there.
has to be over. It has to be over 12 markets.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
For
we're
sure.
like, I don't know, 15 to 20 markets we're in. Every one of them, we have
Have,
properties that cash flow. And so it's just not true. And with the interest rates now,
yes.
it's not true. They cash flow. Um, and one of the other really cool things about the market right now is because everybody's scared to death of tariffs because of the stupid media. Well, builders are offering,
Ama-
pretty amazing concessions that help make these things a much better deal than they otherwise would be.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and the same thing with the renovated properties. Exact same thing with the renovated properties.
Yeah. And to that point, like we have such a great mix in our inventory from new builds to rehab properties, and then a price point that matches everyone's capabilities. You know,
Yes.
like we have properties down to 120, 140K. And then we have these beautiful duplexes in Florida that's at 550, fully leased, and
Yeah.
already cash flowing. It's just really insane.
And here's the thing: like I was talking about, like pricing. I was
hmm
talking to Brendan about pricing. Like where I live, and I don't know about you, Joanna, you can weigh in, but where I live, you can't buy a house for what those duplexes cost. They're brand new. You get both sides, not one side. It's not like an area where they say duplex, but you only get one side, which is a townhome.
Yep.
It's both sides you get for
Yep.
for
Sides.
yeah, for upper 500s, and they cash flow, and they're brand new. And you can get in like the war zone here, you could barely get something for that price.
Well, luckily,
Seriously.
I'm not as bougie as you, so we have a good mix here. Yes, it's like back and forth. We have some of the
Hey,
property.
Charleston is a little bougie. Charleston's pretty
It
cool.
is,
Pretty
but
cool.
we have some inventory there too. So there's room for the bougie folks to get properties too. You
That's
we do not
right.
discriminate at all. But no, to your point with the Florida properties, I mean, it's like cash flowing $750 a month.
Yeah.
And that's insane for someone, especially in a market that I appreciate so well. Like, honestly, I do such a great job of trying to make sure that all these properties are really competitive. There's not a single property that we have that doesn't make sense for an investor in one way or
Yeah.
another. Great appreciation, great areas. Like we talked about the standards. You're going to have employment nearby. You're going to have some commercial space nearby, that makes it great for families. But then we talk about the actual numbers where behind every investor's wealth plan, that's what matters to them as well when they're building that wealth. There's not a single property that's not going to add value to their wealth plans. And we love that.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I told you guys when we started the show, you're going to see Joanna's awesome at what she does. She really is, and has a passion for really finding amazing property management companies, amazing properties for you. And she just continues to do it. Doesn't matter. The interest rates go up half point, she still finds them. Like I don't know how she's doing it, but she's amazing at it. And I encourage you guys to reach out and find out if it's true, because our competition. Let me just tell you, there's a bunch of people out there who play games with the numbers. They use interest rates you can't get to make the numbers look good. They do all kinds of things to the numbers, and you look at it and you go, oh wow, that looks like a really good investment. And then you dig in, and the numbers are not great. Ours are just the numbers. They're just the numbers, right? And Joanna has done a really good job of helping the sellers understand what it takes to move properties in today's market that are a good deal for everybody, which means you're going to have to take a haircut a little bit, right? You're going to have to offer some things up to make them a good investment.
Right.
But once you figure out how to do that, you can move a lot of inventory, which means you can make it up and you can keep your crews busy and everything keeps moving, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's so true. Like when our sellers come, and that's the thing, we don't require things to be just with us. We let it be in the open market. We're just really confident what we're able to do. So when sellers like, oh well, I'm giving a little bit more for you guys, it's because we move a lot more, right? Because I know we are so closely working with our sales team and our wealth consultants, and they're working with their investors to understand their needs. So we're getting that feedback constantly. Every week, we're
Yeah.
kind of updates of what's wanted, what can we get? And I get it on my list. And when I get it, I know that it's going to move. So yeah, it definitely may be a little bit more for our sellers, but based on that, it never stopped new sellers and they continue to share our business with others. It's relationship wise for sure.
Yeah, it's how we've grown over the years, and I love it. That's the best way. It's the most fun way to do business. It really is because man, one of the people we just onboarded is friends with and knows one of our other sellers, but they didn't refer each other. It was actually really cool. But they know each other, and they both do a really, really good job with their properties. Anyway, JoAnna, any final thoughts? Anything you think that the folks listening would want to know about anything in our company that you know about?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, especially for our investors and even for our sellers too, like we're just super transparent. Nothing about the numbers or anything is like a hidden, calculation that doesn't tie into something real. And we're really big on showing every expense. A lot of groups don't put the cost of property management on their performance. We do because we know that if you want this to be a successful passive income that's building, you need third party management. Right. So I think that's really big. And if there's ever questions, we have an amazing team that can kind of always get to me. Sure, we'll have some links to, reach out on our behalf at the podcast. But I just want to make sure people feel that nothing that you see is just like some distant thing that you can't reach or get details on. We're here. We're available. And I can stand behind every number.
Yeah. I mean, one of the cool things I'll point out because JoAnna's a stickler on the numbers. And one of the things that I think trips a lot of companies up is taxes, right? Because taxes change, especially on new construction and rehab properties. Because if the rehabber bought the property for whatever, 80,000 and is going to sell it for 150 after they do a bunch of work to it, the taxes are going to get reassessed not at 80,000. They're going to get reassessed at 150. And you have to know that and calculate them in there. And it's the same thing with new construction because they have lot cost taxes on them. And if you don't recalculate them, it's going to really suck for you later because taxes on lots are almost nothing.
Oh, yeah.
In comparison, almost
And
nothing.
that's a big pushback sometimes I get with sellers when they have their own performas and then mine's is a lot different. And they're like, why is it so much lower then? I'm like, because your taxes were a little off. We base it off the purchase price, current millage rates, not last year taxes, not any exemptions, because none of that is going to apply for an investment property for investors.
Yeah, there's areas where if you don't live in the house, the taxes are way more, like way more.
Yep.
And you have to figure that stuff in. So, so JoAnna has done a really, really good job of systematizing that internally so that stuff is always caught. And anyway, as I promised, JoAnna Rocks, hey, I appreciate you joining the podcast and educating everybody listening about the process of making this happen.
No, and thank you again for having me. And I'm happy to come on anytime. I know we're definitely getting more and more properties, more markets. So I'm sure I'll be gracing this podcast once again. Happy to talk.
For sure. Appreciate it. Till next week, everybody. Get out there and make something happen.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.